The first thing I hear is the click. Soft. Precise. Final. Like the house itself is locking me in. I stand in the doorway of his estate with the silver key still warm in my palm, unsure whether it's permission or a warning. My handler didn't say. Russo never does. The air smells like stone cold polish and a kind of silence that feels trained. I step inside. The floor gleams. Too clean. Too watched. Someone has been expecting me. A narrow hallway stretches ahead, lined with tall windows that reflect me back in fractured pieces. The glass isn't cracked, not yet, but the reflection bends just enough to make me feel wrong, as if the house already knows I'm not who I claim to be. My breath snags. This is it. My assignment. My cage. My target. The Don. Luca Moretti. A name whispered through case files and late-night briefings. A silhouette in grainy surveillance stills taken from rooftops where wind cut through my jacket and made my hands shake. They said he was ruthless. Calculating. Untouchable. They didn't say he kept his home quiet enough to hear your own pulse. My footsteps echo. Once, twice. Before the sound disappears entirely, swallowed by the estate's controlled hush. A hush that feels intentional. I tighten my grip on the cleaning kit they gave me, the props of my new identity. The apron folded in my bag. The fake resume. The badge hidden under my sleeve, cool against my skin, heavier than usual. Russo's voice repeats in my head. You go in. You clean. You watch. You find what we need. Moretti never sees you coming. But now standing here something feels off. The house is too alert. As if it's studying me back. A shadow shifts at the end of the hall. Quick, subtle. A guard turning a corner. Or watching. I can't tell. Fear lifts the hairs on my arms. He already knows someone new is here. Maybe even before I unlocked the door. I swallow hard and take another step. There's no going back. Not after what happened 7 years ago. Not after what internal affairs buried. Not after Russo slid the folder across the table and said Moretti's name like it was a loaded gun. But the house, this silence, this strange electric stillness, it whispers something else. Something Russo didn't put in his report. I reach the foot of the grand staircase and stop. Another click echoes overhead. Soft. Deliberate. Like someone choosing to reveal themselves. Or choosing not to. My heartbeat stutters. The mission starts now. And suddenly I'm not sure who's hunting who. The silence closes around me, tight and waiting. Morning spills across the polished floors, softening the sharpness of last night's silence. It almost looks peaceful. Almost. I move slowly, adjusting to the rhythm of the house. Its breath, its pauses, its watching. For a moment it feels like I'm alone. Then I sense him. A presence before a sound. He stands at the far end of the dining room, half shadowed, half golden from the rising sun. No guards. No entourage. Just him and the quiet he seems to command. He doesn't speak at first. He just watches like he's studying the shape I make against his world. I expected danger. Threat. The weight of power. I didn't expect stillness. First day, he asks at last, voice low, almost gentle. The softness cracks something in me. A tiny fissure in the picture Russo painted. The monster from the files isn't supposed to sound like this. Yes, I manage. His gaze drops, sharp and unhurried, to the silver key looped around my wrist, catching light when I move. A symbol small and easy to miss. He doesn't miss it. You opened the house before the guards did, he says like it's a test. You left the key for me, I reply. He studies my face as if he's weighing the answer. Or weighing me. There's an intimacy in the quiet that follows. Not romantic, not yet, but charged. 2 wires close enough to spark if the air shifts wrong. This is the part that's meant to feel safe. The illusion. A thin layer of calm stretched over something feral. You can start with the upstairs hall, he says. His tone isn't cold. It's controlled. Measured. A man used to handling danger gently the way some handle glass. As if he's deciding how much of himself the maid is allowed to see. I nod, grip tightening on the cleaning kit. My blind spot throbs here. I'm looking for the criminal in him, not the truth. As I move past him, I catch something at the edge of my vision. A faint smudge along the doorframe leading to his study. A fingerprint. A rushed touch. A hand that didn't have time to be careful. The first crack. Small but wrong. I file it away, folding fear into routine. Later upstairs. The air shifts again. A window that was closed last night is open an inch wider, curtain breathing in and out with the wind. Someone's been here. Or watching from here. The house is never just a house. My phone buzzes in my pocket, a sharp intrusion under all this hush. Russo, status. Any movement? Remember why you're there. Blood on pavement. A badge in the wrong place. A lie signed and filed. I slide the phone away. When I return downstairs, Moretti is gone. No footsteps, no echo, just absence shaped like a question. Then I hear it. A soft disturbance. A door clicking shut somewhere deeper in the estate. Not loud. Not threatening. Just enough to remind me fake safety is still a lie. The vacuum hums quietly in the upstairs hall, but my mind is louder. Always louder. I keep my head down, pretending to care about dust lines on baseboards, but I feel him before I hear him. A shift in the air. A pause in the house's breath. You missed a spot. His voice comes from behind me. Close. Too close. I straighten slowly. Distance thinning whether I want it to or not. He gestures toward one of the tall windows. A faint smear, nearly invisible unless you knew exactly where to look. He notices everything, even what most eyes never find. I'll fix it, I say. You already did, he replies. I blink. The smear is gone. He cleaned it himself. A man like Luca Moretti with a dozen men who would bleed for him, polishing his own glass? Nothing in Russo's file prepared me for that. I study his reflection in the window instead of turning. Composed. Unreadable. His eyes meet mine in the glass, not directly. Indirectly. Safer. Sharper. Tell me something, he says. My pulse tightens. What? Why did you take this job? Simple question. Nothing about this moment feels simple. Needed the money, I say. He watches my mouth when I speak like he's measuring truth by the way the words move. That's not it, he says softly. The air thins. Silence expands between us, heavy and observant. I could lie again. I should. But something, the angle of his voice, the way he steps back to give me space instead of taking it, pulls a different answer out of me. The first confession. Small. Soft. Dangerous. I needed a change. His expression barely shifts, but I feel it. The moment he registers something bruised beneath the surface. A change from what? I don't answer. That's the line. Where distance meets the edge of intimacy and stops just before falling. He seems to respect it. Or he draws it like a border. You don't have to tell me today, he says. Today. As if there will be more days. As if he's already decided I'll stay. The quiet that follows isn't fear now. It's observation. Two people circling the truth without stepping into it. Study hall, later. A soft click breaks the moment. From his study door. The sound motif returning like a pulse under the walls. Someone moved. Someone listened. His gaze shifts just slightly. He heard it too. Go downstairs, he says quietly. Now. Did I do something wrong? No. His voice is a blade wrapped in velvet. I just prefer you safe when I don't know who else is in my house. The words hit harder than they should. Boss, a guard calls from below. Call from Navarro's man. Says it's urgent. Navarro. Rival family. The word rings down the hall like a distant siren. I step back. Distance restored. But my chest is tight when the silence slams shut between us. A recoil neither of us is ready to name. The study door is ajar. That's the first wrong thing. The second is the air, colder inside than the hall, like the room sucked the warmth out of itself to hide something. I nudge the door open with my shoulder. Papers lie scattered across the floor, a chair tipped on its side. A glass on the carpet, a thin trail of amber cutting through the pattern like a quiet wound. But it's the window that stops me. A single line of cracked glass runs across the lower pane. Hairline. Fresh. The symbol darkens. Sharpens. Speaks louder than the mess. Something happened here. Something close. I shouldn't be in this room. I shouldn't step further. I do it anyway. A soft crunch under my shoe. A sliver of broken glass I didn't see. The sound is small, but the silence after it feels immense. Accusing. You shouldn't be in here. His voice cuts in from the doorway. I freeze. First in fear, then in something deeper. Something like being caught as myself, not as the maid. I'm sorry, I say quickly. I heard. I know what you heard. His tone isn't anger. It's worse. Controlled. Tight enough to bruise if you touch it wrong. He steps past me, picks up the overturned glass with careful precision. It's nothing, he says. False reassurance. Soft on the surface, sharp underneath. Nothing doesn't crack a window. Nothing doesn't leave a room looking like a storm just walked through it. You're safe here. The words should comfort. They don't. His hand trembles when he sets the glass down. Barely. Almost invisible. But I see it. He's afraid of something. Or someone. And he won't say it. He doesn't look at the window. Doesn't glance at the fractured line slicing the view in half. You should go, he murmurs. His voice is too calm. Too even. Like he's holding the world together with his jaw clenched shut. I didn't mean to intrude, I say. His silence answers for him. Heavy. A silence that drags every warm thing out of the room. I'm fine, he adds eventually. Another lie delivered gently, like he hopes it hurts less that way. He turns away, giving me his back. The safest angle, the most dangerous dismissal. Because his stillness says more than any outburst could. A man like Luca Moretti doesn't break things by accident. And he doesn't let anyone see it when he does. Except I just did. And that's the wound. Not the glass. Not the room. Me. Seeing too much. I step backward, breath catching on the sharp edge of the cracked pane. The room holds its breath with me. When I reach the hall, the silence follows like a shadow. Stillness so sharp it feels dangerous. I find him outside. Back terrace. Stone cooling under the late morning light. Shadows cut across his shoulders like someone tried to carve him out of the world and failed. He doesn't turn when I step closer. He doesn't need to. He knew I would come. You left the study in a hurry, I say quietly. His jaw moves. A small, almost invisible shift. A warning. Or a surrender. That room didn't need you, he replies. But you did. The words slip out before I can stop them. Second confession. Soft. Unintended. Dangerously honest. He exhales, a sound caught between restraint and something rawer. I don't need anyone, he says. Why? Thin. Practiced. I take one step closer. You do, I whisper. You just don't trust them. That makes him face me. There it is, the collision. Not touch. Not raised voices. Truth hitting truth. You don't know what I trust, he says. I know you cleaned the window yourself, I answer. And you didn't want me to see the crack. His eyes narrow. Not in anger. In recognition. He fears showing weakness. Because weakness in his world is fatal. Silence drops between us like a blade. I protect what's mine, he says at last. No apology. No softness. His code line delivered like law. It should scare me. It should make me step back. It doesn't. Instead, it pulls something open inside me I've spent 7 years sealing shut. What if I'm not yours? I ask, voice barely steady. His breath catches. He hides it but not fast enough. That's the problem, he says. Quiet. Cold. Burning. What? I want you to be. The admission lands between us with the weight of a falling building. No romance. No flowers. Just raw truth scraping the safe distance clean. I should leave. I should run. I should remember the badge pressed against my ribs and Russo's voice in my ear. Instead, I make the worst choice. The escalating choice. The one that shifts everything. I step closer. If you want me to stay, I say slowly, don't lie to me. He looks at me like I've asked him to grow new bones. Everyone lies, he says. Then be the exception. He lifts a hand, hesitates, almost touches my cheek. Almost. His fingers hover there, trembling in the smallest way. A man powerful everywhere except here. I don't know how, he admits. A truth deeper than any I expected. The wind slides between us, cool and thin. He lowers his hand without touching me. An unresolved gesture hanging like a held breath. And then, nothing. Just the silence of two people standing too close. The file isn't supposed to be here. Tucked behind a bookshelf in his private study, half hidden under a loose plank. Not sloppy. Not obvious. Deliberate. I shouldn't touch it. I shouldn't even see it. I open it anyway. A single photograph slides out. The street corner. The blood. The night my life split clean down the middle. My breath fractures. This is my past. My wound. The crime Russo swore Moretti ordered. The photograph is wrong. The timestamp is off. The angle is different. The shadow across the pavement doesn't belong to Moretti. It belongs to someone else. Someone wearing a badge. A badge from my department. My hand shakes. Barely, but enough to feel something inside me tear. Evidence reversal. Everything I've believed. Everything they fed me, twist. I dig deeper. Reports I've never seen. Witness statements crossed out. A scribbled note along the margin. It wasn't him. A chill crawls up my spine. Why does he have this? Why was it buried? Who gave it to him? I flip to the last page. My blind spot splits open. There's a signature at the bottom. Russo's. The handler who sent me here. The man who watched me cry over that photograph once and promised me justice. My mission was built on a lie. A floorboard creaks behind me. He's there. Standing in the doorway. Watching with an expression I can't read. Not anger. Not threat. Something quieter. Older. Heavier. How long have you known? I whisper. His silence is long. Measured. Painful. Long enough, he finally says. Long enough to hate them? To expect they'd send someone like me? To wait for the day I'd find this and break? Why didn't you destroy it? I ask, voice thin, fraying. Another silence. Deeper. Because truth isn't mine to bury, he says. Should sound noble. It doesn't. Sounds like a confession of his own. The motive triangle shifts. His need to protect, my need to learn, their need to erase him. You kept all of this, I say. Even when it could ruin you. It already ruined me, he answers softly. The quiet that follows settles like dust in a grave. Heavy. Inevitable. What do you want from me? I ask. He steps forward slowly as if approaching a skittish animal or a memory that bites. Not what they sent you here for. The truth lands. Quiet. Final. Irrevocable. Nothing in this house means what I thought. Not the silence. Not the cracks. Not him. Especially not him. The house feels different tonight. Not colder. Not louder. Just waiting. I stand in the study with the file in my hands, its edges cutting into my palms. I shouldn't still be here. I shouldn't still be breathing this air where the truth just carved itself open. But leaving is impossible. Not after what I saw. Not after what I know. He enters quietly. No footsteps. No warning. Just the shift of air like the house exhales him into the room. You shouldn't stay here alone, he says. I'm not alone, I whisper. He stops. The words hit him. Harder than I meant them to. I set the file down, slow, careful, like placing a weapon between us. The truth is sharper than any blade he carries. Why didn't you tell me? I ask. His jaw tightens. Because telling you would have made you choose. And now. He looks away. A crack in the armor. More intimate than touch. Now you already know, he says. Pain shoves through me, raw, rattling. I thought you killed him. The sentence tears out of me, the third confession ripping straight from my chest. He closes his eyes like the words wound him. I know, he murmurs. And you still came into my home. He steps closer. One measured step at a time. Not a threat. Not a claim. Something else. Something terrifying in its gentleness. I should hate you, I say. He breathes out, a broken sound. I wouldn't blame you. A click echoes overhead. Louder than before. Sharper. Resonant. Not a door. Not a lock. A gun being readied somewhere in the house. We freeze. Everything freezes. The truth isn't just revealed now. It's hunting us. He moves first, instinct not thought, pulling me toward him, turning his body between me and the door. Stay behind me, he says. A command edged with something like fear. A shadow crosses the glass of the cracked window. Another click, closer. The house has stopped pretending to be quiet. Navarro. I breathe. Or Russo, he answers. Does it matter? Heavy footsteps in the hall. Muffled voices. A guard yelling before he's cut off mid-word. The silver key slips from my wrist in the rush, hitting the floor with a soft metallic cry. Not a symbol of access anymore. A symbol transformed, of the line I just crossed. His hand tightens on my arm. They're here for me. And me, I say softly. He turns, slow, stunned, because the truth in my voice isn't accusation. It's allegiance. That's the choice. The one that changes everything. The one neither of us can take back. He doesn't speak. I don't either. We stand there, too close, too shaken, too exposed, held in a silence that is not empty. Not fearful. A silence shared. Chosen. A silence that means we're in this together now, whether we survive the next 5 minutes or not. The gunfire doesn't last long. It never does in real life. Quick bursts. A shout. A cry cut short. Then the bruised, ringing silence afterward, thicker than smoke. He gets me out of the study through a side door I didn't know existed. One hand steady between my shoulder blades, never pushing, always guiding. A hidden passage. A small staircase. The house showing new veins under its skin. We emerge into a narrow room off the terrace. Not an office. Not a strategy space. A retreat. Warm wood. Low light. A single leather chair facing a window that looks out over nothing but trees. He closes the door quietly. Not a slam. A seal. You're bleeding, he says. I look down. A thin line of red across my wrist where the key snapped against my skin when he yanked me away from the hall. I didn't notice, I whisper. I did. He opens a drawer and pulls out a small first aid kit. Not the heavy tactical kind my unit carries. Simple house kit. Luca Moretti, the man entire precincts whisper about, kneels in front of me. He cleans the cut with a gentleness that shouldn't belong to a man people swear has no soul. His movements are slow, careful, almost reverent. Small act of care. My breath steadies. Not because I'm safe, there's no such thing now, but because he chooses to be gentle. You could have run, he says. So could you. He looks up. The moment stretches, the kind of silence that rests instead of wounds. His thumb pauses just above my pulse, not touching but close enough to feel the heat. You stayed, he murmurs. So did you. The words aren't confessions. They don't need to be. Across the room, the silver key lies where it fell, not a boundary now, not a leash. Just a softened symbol waiting for its meaning to change again. His gaze follows mine. It's yours if you want it, he says. It lands somewhere deep, not possession, not claim. An offering. He hasn't wanted a maid in his house. He's wanted a choice. And if I take it? I ask. He doesn't look away this time. Then you're not here because of them. The department. The people who weaponized my grief. The word sits between us like a stone we both know we'll have to lift. Just not tonight. Outside, the wind brushes the glass. A soft shift. The cracked window in the study flashes in my mind. Harsh, jagged, brutal. But here now, with his hands hovering near mine, the world feels a little less sharp. Why are you being kind to me? I ask. His answer comes slowly, like he's choosing the gentlest blade. Because you looked at me, he says, and you didn't run. The silence that follows isn't held in fear. It's held in warmth. In almost trust. A thread between us, soft, tentative, waiting. We sit in the retreat long after the wind dies down. No threats. No shouting. No footsteps. Just the truth settling like dust. He doesn't speak first. He waits. Like he already knows what's coming. I need to tell you something, I say. My voice doesn't shake now. It's past that. His shoulders tense, not from fear, from bracing. Go on. Russo didn't send me here to find evidence against you, I say. He sent me to bury the evidence they created. Fourth confession. Soft. Precise. Final. The words land like a muted blow. Not loud. Not dramatic. It's true. He inhales slowly, chest lifting under a weight I can't see. Not surprise. Recognition. As if he always expected the world to betray him again. He just didn't know which face it would wear. I figured, he whispers. It hurts. God, it hurts. Not because he doubted me. Because he didn't. Because trusting me was the risk he took anyway. I swallow hard. You said something once. He waits. I echo his code back to him, the line that cut me on the terrace, now turned soft as breath. I protect what's mine. The mirror line lands differently this time. Not possession. Not power. A promise. A plea. A question. He closes his eyes like hearing it back rearranges something in his bones. I don't want you to protect me, I say. I want you to let the truth be enough. His breath breaks on the exhale. A small sound. Barely there. And what truth is that? He asks. I answer slowly, each word deliberate, anchoring the moment. That justice means nothing if it serves the wrong hands. The moral truth spoken out loud. The room feels different afterward. Not safer. Not easier. Just clearer. He reaches toward the silver key on the table. His fingers rest on it. Not lifting. Not offering. Just touching. Acceptance. Quiet and real. I don't know if choosing me ruins your life, he murmurs. It might, I say. We sit with that. The house. Face. The blood. The lies. All of it folds into the soft silence around us. Somewhere deeper in the estate, the familiar click echoes. Faint now, fading, almost gone. The sound motif dying like an old fear. I don't know what happens next, he admits. I do, I say softly. We tell the truth. All of it. And if it costs us everything? I look at him, the man I came here to destroy, the man who showed me who my real enemy is. Then at least we lose something honest, I say. He turns to me fully, eyes unguarded for the first time. There's nothing left to hide between us. Nothing left but one final universal question. When truth demands a price, who do we become when we choose to pay it? Morning light settles gently over the estate, softening every hard edge. The world isn't safer. But it's truer. He stands by the window looking out over the garden. Not guarded. Not calculating. Just still. The kind of stillness that isn't self-defense but release. In the study down the hall, the cracked glass glows faintly in the new light. The fracture is still there, but it doesn't look like a wound anymore. Just a line in a larger, unbroken hole. I walk toward him. No fear. No hesitation. He notices me before I reach him, gaze dropping to my hand, to the silver key resting in my palm. The metal is warm from my skin. Lighter than it felt on the first day. Like carrying it now isn't intrusion but belonging. I didn't know if you'd take it back, he says quietly. I didn't know if you'd want me to, I answer. He turns fully, the movement soft, unarmored. I don't want to lock anything away anymore, he says. It's not a confession. It's gentler than that. Just a truth, spoken without armor. I place the key in his hand. Not choosing him over the badge. Not choosing the badge over him. Choosing the truth that remade both of us. His fingers brush mine. Light. Careful. Steady. A small promise of future peace made without words. He closes his hand around the key, then opens it again, letting it rest in the space between us instead of claiming it. Not owned. Outside, a breeze moves through the cracked window. The fracture catches the light one last time. Bright. Quiet. Honest. He steps closer, voice barely above breath. Stay, he murmurs. I exhale. Soft. Certain. I will. The house is still. But it's not the old stillness. Not the trained silence of fear. Not the padded quiet of buried crimes. Just two people standing in a place that finally stopped lying. A final breath line settles on the air. Sometimes the quiet isn't the cage. Sometimes it's where the truth finally lives.